Macen Williams is retiring from football. We're going to talk about what it means and who can replace him.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw. I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Shout out my everydayers who are here every day, and thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications wherever you're getting your shows. Stay in touch by following me on Twitter at RichieBrads36, the podcast at LL_Sun Devils. If you have not hit subscribe on YouTube yet, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. We are right around the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, big news. Macen Williams is retiring. Now, according to everything that I've read, he was not at practices this week. He was last seen at the team scrimmage during Camp Tonto Zona. And then yesterday, Kenny Dillingham announced that he is retiring from football. Now, at this time, from everything I could see, there's not any concrete reason. I don't know if it was medically retiring. I don't know if it was maybe he just wanted to go somewhere else with his life. But wherever his road takes him, we wish him all the best. This, of course, does leave ASU in a interesting situation. And that's where we start our conversation is what does this mean for ASU? Well, it means that your depth in the secondary just got a little thinner. Macen Williams was a versatile player. This is someone that opened the offseason as a candidate to be one of the safeties for the team. And then, of course, they added a lot of depth. They brought in Kamari Wilson. They brought in Miles Rouser. You had Montana Warren returning from injury. Shamari Simmons was back. You had Xavier Alford back. There was a lot of returning players to the secondary. So it wasn't to the safety position. So it wasn't guaranteed that anyone was going to see starting time, let alone Macen Williams. Well, he goes on to look like a really quality candidate at the nickel spot. And as big as I have been on Cole Martin, Macen Williams has been a very real opposition for Cole Martin to deal with as a potential starter. And Macen Williams has run with first team during training camp. This is a player that ASU really like, that they can kind of bounce around all over the place. To a certain extent, you may have had your most versatile defensive back with Macen Williams. There's other guys you could argue, but I mean, Macen has just as good an argument as anybody else. Losing him is a big deal. Losing him is one of those chess pieces that really just fits all sorts of different roles for your team. He could play the slot. He could play deep. There was potential to line him up outside. There was a lot of hope that this is going to be a big-time breakout season for him. It was in his last year. He had seen some time on the field, nothing too extensive with the depth that the Sun Devils have had in the secondary the last handful of years. This felt like a potential breakout year for him. And he was definitely a sleeper for the Sun Devils, someone that this show didn't talk enough about, but now that he's gone, it's very much worth noting that this is not going to be an easy replacement for the Sun Devils. Of course, they do have the depth. You have Cole Martin, who is probably for sure the starting nickel now. I have said many a times, I feel like he's a plug and play. I still feel like that was the truth, but this only strengthens his argument to be the plug and play at the nickel spot. You also have seen Shamari Simmons lining up in the slot. This is something that I brought up as a potential option for the team when you look at the depth at safety, because you have some super high upside guys back there. Kamari Wilson most definitively was one of the guys that was the most exciting to be in that secondary. Now you can find a way to get three safeties on the field and start your best 11 by having Simmons go down into the slot. This is still a very real possibility for the Sun Devils. And now that Macen Williams is gone, it feels like it's a two-man race for the nickel spot between Cole Martin and between Shamari Simmons. Now, Shamari Simmons has the ability to play safety as well, which reminds you of that Jordan Clark possibility. Cole Martin, he's just really good. He is really, really good. It's a good problem that the Sun Devils have, but it takes a hit with Macen Williams no longer being with the team. He had that versatility, and it just felt like there was a little bit of magic that was going to happen with him this year. Unfortunately, he is retiring. And again, we wish him all the best. This is not an episode to sit here and complain. Far from it. We are simply taking a look at what happens next for the Sun Devils. And we're going to talk about some potential replacements for him in just one moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You've heard us talk about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season game on Sunday afternoon out of market games. All you need is a Google account and any kind of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Just join FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Also want to talk to you about our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your #1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. All the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Back into our conversation now, we're going to talk about some potential replacements for the Sun Devils in the secondary for Macen Williams. Now, again, I want to emphasize, this is a big deal for the Sun Devils. This is one of the more versatile players that you had, a player that was a potential breakout for you, someone that I was excited for, and a lot of people were excited for. You do have some options to replace him. We already talked about 2 of them. So Cole Martin feels like the easiest solution for you. This was one of the favorites to be the starting nickel for you. Excuse me, guys. This was a high-level replacement as well. A high-level plug-and-play guy, a set it and forget it. He still feels like the easiest option for you. And he still feels like one of the best players in that secondary. I've said before, I feel like he is probably no worse than like top 3. I feel like he is the best guy in the secondary. You also have Shamari Simmons, who has that versatility to play inside at the nickel spot or to play deep as a safety. Having that option with him is a really big deal. And again, it kind of fits that mold of what Jordan Clark was for the team the last 2 years. As that player that can line up in the nickel, but you can play him deep at safety. You can play him near the line of scrimmage. You can do a little bit of everything with Jordan Clark. And Shamari Simmons feels like as good a replacement as you're going to find. That's very noteworthy, is you're looking for a new nickel, but you're also looking for a Jordan Clark replacement. And Shamari Simmons feels like the best option to be a Jordan Clark replacement as that guy who can do multiple things. Now, again, I think that Cole Martin is a better pure nickel guy, but if you're looking for the versatility, it feels like Simmons is that option. There is one more guy I want to mention, someone I brought up on the show before as a potential breakout candidate, and that's Keith Abney. Now, with Keith Abney, you've got a very young player. I believe he is a true sophomore. He might be a redshirt freshman. I don't remember if he played 5 games last year. But this was someone that showed some upside. Against Oregon, he had an interception off of Ty Thompson when both teams were getting their backups in, but he looked good. And I believe that he could be one of the foundational pieces on this team for the next handful of years. I certainly think that as far as next year goes, he can easily be a starter for you. Would not be surprised if he found a role in this team this year, because it's a wide open competition at the corner spot. Apparently, as I have been informed, LT Welsh has not been working out with first team on a consistent basis, but I also feel like that has a lot more to do with rotating guys. I still feel pretty confident that LT Welsh is going to be one of your week 1 starters. Opposite him, it's wide open. It could be Javen Robinson. It could be Keith Abney. It could be Keontae Bradley. I know there's a guy I'm forgetting off the top of my head. I'm focused elsewhere. There's options for your number 2 corner, and Keith Abney could be one of those guys. But with that being said, Keith Abney feels like a better option to put in the slot. Somebody that you feel pretty confident with to have that versatility to play inside, to play outside, but someone that can play at a high enough level inside that you feel that confidence that you're going to get good play out of him. These are the 3 guys that I think have the best potential to be those replacements for Macen Williams. Now, again, the most difficult factor here is that Macen Williams had versatility to play inside and to play safety. If you're looking for that exact replacement, Shamari Simmons is your guy. If you're looking for a high-level nickel defender that you can just set it and forget it, it's Cole Martin. If you're looking for a youth movement and somebody that has a ton of upside, it's Keith Abney. You can make a strong argument for any of these 3 guys to be the starting nickel for your team. And I'm sure we will see a heavy rotation of not just those 3 guys, but some other guys as well, while the Sun Devils figure out their plan for the nickel position and for the depth of the secondary. What do you guys think about Macen Williams retiring? Is there somebody that I'm sleeping on as a replacement? I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you leave a comment and let me know. Shout out my everydayers who are here every day. Macen Williams, wish you all the best. Truly, we're going to miss you this year. But at the end of the day, make the best decision for yourself and for your future. Macen, we appreciate you here on Locked On Sun Devils. I hope that everybody else can appreciate him as well. We'll be back again tomorrow as we begin taking a look at each position with the season right around the corner. We're going to be taking a look at potential depth charts as well. So make sure you tune in. I'll see you then. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.